You're listening to the Purpose Pursuit podcast with me, Hannah Miller. This episode is free to access. If you're looking for deeper connection, join the Purpose Pursuit Together, a guided community with bonus podcast episodes, monthly connection calls, quarterly workshops, and practical tools for purposeful work and life. Hi, welcome back everyone. This is week 2 of the new format of the Purpose Pursuit podcast. I won't repeat this every time, but because it's early days, I'm just going to remind you. We're trying to keep the episodes now down to about 15 to 20 minutes. And this is really so that we can keep it practical, accessible, and something that you can pick up and use, when you're on a commute or you're cooking the dinner or whatever it is you might be doing. If you want deeper connection, we're creating a community space where there will be some bonus podcast episodes for the members of that community. And there'll be webinars and connection calls and loads of practical tools and resources you can use if you want to have a more meaningful work and life. So that's all the information around that will be in the show notes. You'll find it on the emails I send and all the rest of it, and on my Instagram too. But today's topic, we are going to look at how to feel more confident without faking it, which sounds like a funny thing to say because there's such a lot of talk out there to say, well, fake it till you make it, just do it and then the confidence will come. And there's some truth in that, but I want to look at it slightly differently with you today. It feels a bit like confidence is something that we should have in place by now. And to be honest, a lot of the people I work with have come to me because there's something that's rocked or knocked their confidence, or they've actually never had a lot of confidence. The women that go through the course are often people who have hit a point of life because something's happened in their life which has knocked their confidence. It could be a redundancy. It could be that they have got divorced. It could be that they've hit the menopause. It could be that they've had a baby. It could be that their babies have just grown up and left the home. All those different transition moments can knock our confidence. Or it could be that you're setting out on a new career path and you're a beginner again and you feel like your confidence has been knocked. Widen that to the people I work with in my coaching space, which are not just women, they are men and women of all different stages of their careers. And they have underneath how they might be presenting some issues with their confidence in themselves. And I thought it would be good for us to look at this because the people who are listening to this podcast, the people that I have the privilege of working with, are thoughtful, capable individuals. They have lots of reasons to be confident. They're probably doing pretty well on paper by some measure or format, but they are second guessing themselves, and that confidence in who they are has been eroded. And it's quite funny when I take people through the Purpose Pursuit program, the course, which is the book is based upon, there are certain chapters, certain modules of the course that those who are struggling with confidence find ever so difficult. And then there are other chapters or modules that are around looking at the challenges we've got or the underlying issues or the weaknesses we have. And these people with this lower confidence find those chapters really easy and they can do that work. But I want to help you to not just look confident, but to feel more confident in who you are without, really importantly, pretending to be somebody that you're not. You see, if we are pretending we're confident, there are all sorts of things that we can do. Like it's the cost of performing. So trying to perform and appearing confident will mean that perhaps you're doing loads and loads of preparation in your own time, perhaps over preparing. Maybe you're spending ages rehearsing conversations in your mind or saying yes to things when you're actually quite unsure about it because you want to give this air of confidence. Yes, I can do that. I'll take that on. And inside, you're aware that actually you don't feel very confident to do that. You might feel like you're a bit like the whole imposter syndrome, that you just feel like you are getting away with something. That is the problem with performing around confidence or faking confidence rather than actually growing confidence ourselves properly. And there are moments where we have to put on a performance. There are moments when I might walk into a room and think, I'm struggling right now, I've got to just go with this anyway. But building confidence is what we want to talk about today. You don't perform confidence. You don't just grab it off a shelf. It's something that we need to build. And the way we build it is going to look different for different people, which is probably my core message of today's podcast. Your confidence is going to look different to my confidence, to your colleague's confidence, to your boss's confidence. And real confidence comes from a good understanding of who I am. And the definition of confidence I want to use today is when you might feel like you can say, I'm confident because this suits my strengths. I have a way of doing this that suits my personality. This is the lane that I should be in. And it's not about thinking you're better than you are, and it's not about thinking you are worse than you are. Confidence is that space in between. By the way, just a quick thought. Confidence is not the same as self-assurance. Now, what I mean by that, if I can just, reflect on that a little bit more, I would say I'm quite a confident person. I think for me, again, this definition of I know myself, I do know what I'm good at, I know what I find harder, and I know what my workarounds are. I don't think I'm very self-assured. I don't always back myself. I don't always feel like I know I can do this, or this will work out for me, or they're going to want me, or I've got an assurance of who I am, or a confidence in risk that everything will work out. Some people are very self-assured, but actually they're not very confident. Some of us are quite confident, but we're not very self-assured. So don't compare the two things. They're not the same thing. And there could be, like I said before, like a performance confidence or a performance assurance, which isn't the same as feeling that deeply rooted inside. And that deep root can come from all sorts of things, but that idea of purpose and meaning is going to really, really help with your confidence. For some of you who have your own sort of spiritual journey, for those of you of faith, there can be like a rootedness of confidence that comes from being part of something bigger than you, like that third dimension, which is that spiritual dimension, God, higher power, and whatever language you use. For me, like there is a confidence that actually it's not all down to me. All roads don't lead back to me. So any one of you who's listening with, you've got that faith element or a spiritual lens, that can be a real place of confidence, because it's not about everything is within you. That's not the answer. But there is a practical confidence on top of that sort of spiritual lens, which comes from growing and building confidence from a place of understanding who we are. As I've said, I use personality in my work all the time. I work with teams and leaders and organisations to embed an understanding of personality so that teams perform better, so that interpersonal relationships are better. And in my book, there's a lot of work that leans into this idea of who are you and understanding that in order to have your own blueprint around what growing confidence or responding to challenges might look like. So there are lots of different types of strengths that I talk about in my book. And if you haven't gone through that process of understanding your strengths, I would encourage you to do that. Again, we'll put some stuff in the show notes that shows you where you can access this learning and have a look at it. Or you can pick up the book and do the assessment that's in there for free. But there are a few, I'm just going to pick out a couple of personality types as examples here for you, okay? The first one I'm going to use is the believer. So the believer in the book is a person who is very values-led. They are heart-forward. It has to matter. They do things that have meaning and intuition. They're grounded in conviction, and it's conviction that drives them, okay? So these are value-led individuals that do work that aligns with values, and that drives their decision-making. So if you are a believer, the way you're going to grow your confidence according to who you are is it won't come from having all the proof or having perfect clarity. It will come from trusting in what you believe is true and acting in alignment with that truth, acting in alignment with those beliefs and those values. Now, you might get caught in a confidence trap if you doubt yourselves when other people don't share your values. And that, I think I'm a believer, is one of my top types. And I know for me, sometimes when I work with individuals that are compelling and they are wise, but they're coming from a different value base to me, sometimes I doubt myself in that space, or I think, am I right? Am I not? And I could then start to justify or over-explain things to try and compensate for that. So watch out for that if you're this way inclined. Certainty isn't where confidence comes from. It's definitely around trust. So I would encourage you to name what matters to you, even if it's unpopular, to help you have that as a grounding place. Make decisions based on your convictions rather than other people's validation. And you need to stand steady without needing to convince everybody else. That's that confidence in this is right for me. So those are some things that would suit the believer. Then we've got the connector. I imagine loads of people listening will associate with the connector type. Again, one of my top 3 types, definitely. These are relational, emotionally aware people who are good at reading people and situations. They often hold groups together. They're the glue. They put a lot of energy into building relationships. So confidence for a connector is going to grow through that relational sort of equity that they're building. They're going to feel more confident when they can see the impact they're having on the people around them, the individuals they're working with, when the relationships around them are working well, they've got time to invest in them, they're helping other people to be seen and supported. A confidence trap might be when you start to dismiss that relational work as just being soft, or thinking confidence should look more assertive and detached. And I have this conversation on repeat with people. Confidence does not look like the person in the room who presents themselves with the best elevator pitch and the most confident way of standing. Now, there are things we can do to help ourselves practically with being confident, but actually a quiet confidence that comes from being somebody who enables other people to access, to feel seen and heard, to be included, to be that relational glue, and to be confident in that role is massively compelling when done well. Your confidence is going to grow in connection with other people, and definitely not if you're left in isolation. So I'd encourage you to trust your instincts to bring people together. Use that empathy and care and encouragement as part of the way you're building confidence through building the confidence of others. And don't minimize that work you're doing, which is so crucial to human beings working well together. So finally, I'm just going to pick out the explorer. The explorer is the strengths type, which is curious. It's open to lots of possibilities. It's drawn to new ideas, new directions, adaptability, innovation, disruptive thinking, new ways of living, working, learning, all of that. And they often ask, what if? So an explorer's confidence will come through curiosity and keeping things moving and changing. They are triers. They learn through noticing, adjusting and trying rather than waiting till everything is sure. So your explorer by nature has a bit more confidence in the unknown and enjoys that risk and adventure. Now, a confidence trap would be that they look at other people's confidence, think, well, I should have more of a fixed plan before I act. Or maybe I'm a bit more unfocused to other people, or my ideas are a bit more whimsy, perhaps, depending on, the way you're wired. But explorer's confidence is going to grow through permission to explore, to try things, to see what happens, to learn new things, to not have everything figured out from the get-go. So if you are that type, take small experimental steps. Treat that curiosity as information, and it's not indecision, it's just the way you're gathering stuff, and trust that also learning is going to happen along the way. So I've just picked those 3 types out again as a bit of a, if you don't know your personality, work on getting clear on that, whatever personality type you want to use. And the point I'm trying to make is, what does confidence look like for you with that knowledge? The worst thing in the world is to try and mimic confidence or fake it or do it like somebody else does it. Confidence, sometimes we can misunderstand that just doing something new or being inexperienced in something means we have a lack of confidence. That's not true. That is just the feeling of being a beginner. If you're about to do something you've not done before, if I was about to speak at the Royal Albert Hall for the first time, I could have a confidence in my ability to use my strengths to help me, but also have a wobble around the fact that this is a brand new experience and I've never done it before. And that's actually quite normal. That's quite human. It's not normal. It's more abnormal to be somebody who never feels like that in a place of inexperience. Those are not the norm. Okay? So don't measure yourself against that person who, whatever they're doing, has this can do. Confidence is also not arrogance. Confidence is being aware of who you are, what you contribute, what your personality brings, and how you can develop that to be as effective as you can in every environment. That's how I would explain it. And you want to build confidence in a way that matches how you're wired so that it doesn't just feel like a performance or mimicking somebody. If you're building your confidence through those true strengths, through your personality, it's going to feel much more solid over time. So instead of asking, how can I be more confident? Or look at what they're doing, I should be a bit more like that. Try asking yourself this question: how does confidence grow for someone like me? That is the way I think about it. So little practices that you can consider as we bring this into close. What's one small step that would feel true to who you are towards confidence rather than impressive? And what would confidence look like for your way of contributing? So what I mean by that is, if you realise you are good at seeing the relational connection, what would being 10% more confident with that look like? What would being 10% more present with that when you're in a work environment or a home environment or with your friends? What would that look like? And as you do that, and as you act in alignment with the person that you are, rather than the person you think you should be, your confidence is just going to accumulate. It's going to build. So that starting point next time is a little bit higher than the one before. So if you are a connector, think about that relational impact you're having and name it. If you're an explorer, think about giving yourself permission to try something new. If you're a believer, spend some time thinking about, what are the values that are having an impact on the people around you and the way they experience you, and let that data build your confidence. So to remind you, you don't need a new personality. Inexperience and self-assurance are both not the same as having confidence. You don't need to eliminate doubt to have confidence, and you don't need to fake confidence in order for you to earn your place. Do the work of understanding yourself and work to show up using those strengths and qualities and talents with a bit more confidence each time, and watch your confidence grow. Bye for now.